What's up, my friends, and welcome to the overview for my college football dynasty building game, Football Down South, which is loosely, not so loosely, based on a certain conference in the southeastern United States. Now, this game is actually built on the system I made for a game called The League. It was a professional football game that actually was a finalist in the Cardboard Edison Award last year. But I went the last year just play testing and streamlining and getting out all the stuff that didn't need to be there and changing the theme a little bit to college football, and now it just runs really well. And the college football theme actually works a lot better for this system. And so the way a game works, you begin by choosing a team, and I've chosen AU, little Auburn University here, War Eagle, and that tells you your home state and what side of the division you're on. Every player gets a player mat. This is where you're going to keep the players that you recruit, that you bring onto your team, and it's got some different reference aid kind of stuff, what the dice do and different things. And so the game begins in the off season, and it's got one of those systems similar to other games where the active player is whoever is farthest behind and on top. So in this case, blue is in that position. That's me. So I would get to go, and you would first of all start off by putting players in these slots. These are the available recruits for this offseason, the incoming freshmen, maybe JUCO recruits you're trying to bring in and make your team better. And so I would look at the board. Oh, well, this guy, he's in my home state, so I get a discount. So I might put him on my team. Just take a look at the card here, and this tells you how much time he costs. Obviously not money. We're not paying players to be on our team. That would be super against the rules. So this is the time he costs, the type of player he is, the position, a special ability he gets during the game, and the die that he rolls during games. Now, there's also a way to use time, just kind of based on your player board. You can flip him over, and he gets a little bit better die to roll, maybe a better ability. So you can kind of improve him as the game progresses. And so he would go on my player board down here, and he would cost me 3 time. So now it would be purple's turn. Let's say they got somebody who costs 5. Red team got somebody, let's say they got somebody who costs 4. And so as the offseason progresses, people are adding players to their team, and they're putting them on their boards and improving their teams. And so once everybody gets to 15 time, the offseason ends, and you move on into the game phase. Now, one thing that might affect the game phase is if you get certain sets. Well, sets of cards, the types. So, for instance, this quarterback here, he has the broken tooth symbol. He's in the smash mouth style of play. And so if you get multiple players that have the same type, you can get special cards that allow you to change the game in different ways during games, during recruiting, during improvement, whatnot. And so it's good to get players that have good chemistry together, because not only will you get victory points at the end of the game, but you'll also be able to do better in the games as the season progresses. And so let me tell you about how a game is played. All right, to play a game or an in-season game in Football Down South, you look at your players and you see what dice they give you. So right now I've got 2 reds, 2 greens, a white, and a purple, and you take those dice. So I've got 2 reds, 2 greens, a white, and a purple. So you get offensive dice and defensive dice. So I would take my dice, my opponent would take their dice. Let's say they also had a red, green, blue, maybe a couple grays. Let's do that. And so I would roll mine, they would roll theirs, and then you compare. And so an X is going to cancel out a score. And so they got a defensive stop, and so that stopped one of my touchdowns. Now, I didn't get any X's, and so I didn't get any stops against them, and I only scored 10 points. They scored 14 points, so they would be the winner of this game. Now, players have different abilities on their cards that might allow you to change a 7 into a 3. Okay, so now we're going into overtime. And so if I use that ability, you can only use them once per season. And so there are different ways to manipulate dice, mitigate different things to try to get to who wins. And so if you win a game, let's say I had won that one, then you go up on the season wins track, and the 2 teams at the end of the season who have won the most games go on to the conference championship, and they play for the conference trophy, obviously, which is worth a little bonus point at the end. So you're guaranteed 3 games during the season and a 4th if you're able to make it to the championship. You go through 3 seasons of off-season and then in the season, recruiting players, improving your team, trying to get sets, trying to win as many games, as many championships as possible, and at the end of all that, at the end of 3 seasons, you count up your points, and whoever has the most is the winner and has built the greatest college football dynasty. That's Football Down South.